Welcome to another episode of High Proof Ashes. I am one of your co-hosts, Jason JB Smoke, and we are on location. But, of course, as always,
I am Duran, no cool nickname yet, but supposed to put them in the comments. Something cool.
that's right. Yeah,
We'll get there eventually.
we
but,
will.
Until then, y'all know what it is.
We're on location.
Yeah, man.
We are at Ocoee Cigar Lounge here in Cleveland, Tennessee.
Our home spot.
That's
Our
right.
home lounge, man.
So y'all need to look us up, check us out,
Absolutely.
take us a bit, come have a visit. It's a great little place.
Yeah, I agree.
But, we also have a guest
Our first
today.
guest, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, man. That's pretty awesome. We've talked about this guest quite often.
We have.
On the podcast.
We're finally ready to do it.
Yeah, so glad to actually have him on. You want to do an intro?
No,
do the intro?
No, this is you, man.
All right, so let's see. We have today in the building my homie, my big bro, Mr. Edward Jones himself, the financial advisor, Corey Matting, a.k.a. the Bourbon Commander.
Bourbon Commander.
All right, and y'all going to find out why we call him the Bourbon Commander, but this has been the homie for almost 10 years now. So happy to have him on the podcast because he's going to bring so much to it. Welcome, my brother.
Yes.
Pleasure to be here, gentlemen. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, man. So we've
Glad
got some
to have
special things planned, right?
Yeah, we do.
He brought out a big gun.
Man, we got all kinds of big guns on the table right now.
An exceptional one, and then we've got some great cigars too.
We do. So for today, we've been waiting to show you guys this one. This is, and I'll get some pictures up on screen for you guys so you can get a better look because there's really no band. This is the CAO Amazon Basin Extra Añejo. So this thing comes out once every 3 years. I believe they came out in January for the third time.
You're asking the wrong guy.
So Corey, help me out here. So we're smoking this because Corey's the one that sort of introduced it to the group.
Mm-hmm.
But did it come out in January?
So the Amazon Basin Extra Añejo did come out in January. This is actually the fourth release.
Oh, the fourth release. Okay.
Yes. This is the re-release of the original Amazon Basin.
Mm-hmm.
It was just the Extra Añejo means extra aged.
Of course.
Okay.
So we have the original award-winning blend with a few more years on it.
Nice. It smells great, right? Right out of the cellar. Just smells fantastic. And then I don't. The crazy thing is, I don't know what we're drinking today. I know he brought some bottles because
we're drinking whatever's on the table.
Yeah.
Right.
So you're at a Whiskey Wednesday as well.
That's very
that's
true.
A big deal, right? We talk about that on the podcast as well. But you can see there's a few bottles on the table at the moment. By the end of the night, that table will be almost full with bottles. But we are doing our Whiskey Wednesday bottle share. So, but Corey brought some special stuff for us. So. How many bottles did you bring? Did you bring just the one for us to specifically talk about, or did you bring more than one for us to talk about?
Well, about several bottles.
Okay.
For us to have.
Okay. Cool.
I think just for the purposes of the podcast, I am going to talk about one.
All right.
For today's show.
Well, why don't we let you introduce that one specific bottle for the show, and then we'll figure out what we're going to drink. If we want to start with that, or if we want to go somewhere else first. But tell us a little bit about the bottle that you specifically brought for the show.
So the one that I have for the show, it's actually one not a lot of people have heard of. It's actually one called Mr. Sam. Now, I'll tell you about Mr. Sam. It is a product of the Sazerac Company.
Okay.
Most people know Sazerac Company in the bourbon world for their line from a small distillery called Buffalo Trace.
Yeah.
Of course.
Now, what we have from Sazerac in this is one from their Legacy Day Forwards line.
Okay.
A bit separate from Buffalo Trace, probably your most popular bottle that people will know in the whiskey world from the Legacy Day Forwards line is going to be OFC.
Gotcha. We know about that one.
Yep.
And what happened with Mr. Sam, it's a tribute to a gentleman called Samuel Brofman.
Okay.
Samuel Brofman started small little whiskey company.
Small
Hey,
little
Jason?
whiskey company. I feel like that's going somewhere.
Jason, I think you know the name of that whiskey company. that he started.
What did you say it was? Was it Buff Trade?
Seagrams.
Oh, Seagrams.
Seagrams, which is a huge worldwide
Yes.
conglomerate.
Yeah, he's the founder, right?
Yes. So, founder and a master blender. Sazerac came in and um, they purchased that company, and along came their master distiller, and they wanted to honor the legacy of Samuel Brofman,
Right.
who was affectionately known as Mr. Sam.
Gotcha.
So what they told him was, hey, everything that we have, all our warehouses, all our distilleries in Canada and North America, you have your pick of any barrels from there. Now, this is a distillery that offers some little known brands such as Pappy Van Winkle.
Yeah. Right.
Of course, we mentioned OFC,
Right.
the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, which are Eagle Rares or William LaRue Wellers. We have things out of Canada like Alberta Premium, so on to speak. And what he came up with was this blend of the best of the best.
Okay.
They produce over 1 million barrels a year. He picked his top 7.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
They produce 1,200 bottles.
Yeah. That's
of
crazy.
this.
And so in front of us, just so everyone understands, is one of 1,200 bottles.
Yeah. So let me rephrase that. They did this twice. This is one of 2,400 bottles.
That
in the
doesn't change it very much, right?
It's really 2 12s, right?
I mean,
1200s.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
So it's
I
still
mean,
one of 1200 because this doesn't taste like the first one, right? It's going to be
Yeah.
slightly different.
So, and what's the age statement on this bottle? Like, how many years do we know that, or is it just kind of a blend of multiple years?
It's going to be a blend of multiple years.
Okay.
There is no age statement. I can tell you, if they pull from OFC barrels,
Mm-hmm.
you're looking at 25 years,
Right.
at least,
Right.
there. When you look at some of the Buffalo Trace Antique Collection, we're looking at usually anywhere from 15 years on up.
Right.
Pappy 10 years up.
Right.
On that. So you do have some very old whiskey. What we will find when we taste it is you'll taste that age.
That age in the process. I got you. All right.
Love it.
So,
Love it.
how about the proof on it? What are we looking at as far as proof goes?
So what we're looking at with this one in this batch, and it's printed on the neckband, 61.3% alcohol, which is
Okay,
going to be 122.6
So they didn't
proof
skimp, did they?
on that. This is straight from the barrel, uncut, unfiltered.
That's amazing.
Nice.
It's
That's amazing.
amazing.
And we appreciate you bringing it for us to share today. I know me and you have we tried a different batch of it when we were out one night, but I'm looking forward to trying this one. And just for shits and giggles, right? Like, tell them what MSRP on that bottle is, like, if you can find one.
So currently, the MSRP on this bottle is $3.49.
Uh-huh.
You will not find it at MSRP
Anywhere.
Basically, if you want batch 2, you're going to be looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of about $2,000.
Okay.
For batch 1, if you're looking for that, you're going to be somewhere in the neighborhood of $4,500, $5,000 for that batch.
And that's so it's definitely a special occasion for you to bring this out to our podcast, and we definitely appreciate it, man. So you should go ahead and get lit so you can start smoking your cigar. And then we'll
Definitely want to.
you want, sir? Not a problem at all. And then we'll go ahead and get something to drink here. So, what you think, Jason? Are you excited to try
Dude,
this?
I am so excited. I've never had either batch.
Okay.
So,
Okay.
just hear it and tell the story about it and history behind it. And the proof, I love it. Like, I'm super excited to try it.
You and me both,
So-
man. Like, it's definitely something special that he brought in. But what do you think? We've lit our cigars at this point. What you got, man?
Man, I'm going to tell you, like, just you take it out of the cello and, like, I don't know if you can you can see that on camera, but I mean, the color on that thing, just on the cello, is amazing. I don't know off the top of my head how long they age the cigar. I'll have to try
3 years.
I was about to say we can throw that to Corey as well, because this is one of his favorites.
Yeah.
So
I've looked this cigar up, and there's a lot of information about it. I just I'm gonna have to kind of refresh my memory and maybe throw some text on the screen for you guys. But I'm gonna tell you, from what I remember from this cigar, from having this cigar, is it never stops transitioning.
No,
and it takes forever to smoke it.
Yeah.
This is a 2 to 2.5 hour cigar, easy.
Yeah.
And I mean, and the band is super cool. Like, if you want to call it a band, right? So I mean, bands are your thing. Why don't you tell them about the band?
There's nothing to talk about, man. Like it's a beautiful looking cigar, right? If you see it, I think when we look at this cigar, we're really trying to just find something to distinguish it from everything else, and that's what you've got here at the top. So this is actually tobacco.
Yep.
You can smoke all the way through that band.
Yep.
You don't have to do anything else except light this bad boy and go.
Yep,
right?
it'll burn.
So when you see this anywhere, you kind of know what cigar this is, because there's only a few that actually have this.
Yep.
And right off the top of my head right now, I can't think of any other ones. Like there's another Amazon Basin, which is not
Aged.
not the aged version, but
Right.
it looks like this as well.
Same cigar,
But,
just not aged.
Yeah, so you could get confused by that. So make sure you check the cello and that it says extra añejo, right?
right.
Because you could just get a regular Amazon Basin.
Right.
But
Which
it's
those are,
very good as
those
well.
are great. Yeah,
It's very
so
good as
make no
well.
mistake,
It's
those
just
are great.
not this, right? So, but a very enjoyable smoke. What would you say, Corey? What are your thoughts on it, man?
So first, I love the history of it. The reason that these only come out about every 3 years or so is it is literally tobacco that's only grown in the spot in the Amazon basin.
Right.
And to get out to production, it has to be brought out by canoe.
Yes.
There are no traditional vehicles
Right.
that can get to that spot.
Nice. Okay.
And from what I
that's
remember,
pretty cool.
the planting of the leaves is not in traditional rows
Mhm.
like you would see, on a plantation or farm, whatever you call it.
Right.
They actually just plant it in groups wherever the sun reaches.
Wow. Okay.
Underneath the tree canopy. So they essentially, it's just group of leaves here, group of leaves here, group of leaves here, and so it's incredible to me that the price point on this is crazy reasonable.
Right.
Like you hear all the stuff we're talking about here, and I'll try to put more on the screen if we don't end up talking about it. But retail on this is what, $15?
$15.
15. But recently we haven't been able to find them at that.
Well, so yeah, they're gone. I mean, they came out in January,
Yeah.
and they released however many boxes, and it's only a few thousand boxes, and so they're impossible to find now. You might find them here and there out there in the wild. Some friends of ours did find some out in the wild, and I think they bought them out.
Wasn't he like on an Alaskan cruise or something like that?
No, this was Jill and Sean were at the Humidor.
Okay.
And they had some.
Okay.
And they
But we just recently
they
had
bought
another
them.
friend bring some back, and I believe he found them.
Oh,
while he was
yes,
out
you're right.
in
You're right.
Alaska on a cruise,
Yes,
right?
yes, you are correct.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely an interesting cigar,
Mhm.
a phenomenal smoke, and we'll definitely get into that more. But let's go ahead and crack a bottle, man. Like this is a bourbon and cigar,
Let's do it.
podcast. So are we going to go straight to the Mr. Sam? I know, with my palate being as clean as it is right now, I think I want to try it now and not later.
So Corey and I had a little primer.
Oh, y'all cheated. Of the Mr. Sam?
No.
Oh, I was about to say. Like, wait a minute, y'all cheated. Y'all cheated, man. That's crazy.
Absolutely not.
That's crazy. And go ahead. What you got?
So when we do this, even if it's not a full pour, I do recommend having a little primer before you do this, just to set
Open it
your
up.
palate to get used to the ethanol
All right.
that's there. If you want to.
Let's do that. Let's do
You
that.
know
Like
what?
Craig.
The one you were,
I'm
the one you
trying
were
to.
going, hang on. The one you were going to is exactly the one we did.
Yeah, because is that the cigar rock?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's the cigar rock.
And you're
There's a couple
happy.
bottles on the table, But no, this is a regular small batch Elijah Craig. I
Oh,
brought it
yeah.
in tonight to try to get rid of it. I need to make some more space in the collection. So we got a couple of bottles that are a little low. So I'm gonna go ahead and get some of this.
Pour just enough to wet the whistle.
Okay, we can do that. We can definitely do that.
Now, as you're pouring that, Jason and I will
I'm not even gonna pour it. You pour it.
just
That's what I was gonna say. We're gonna let you make the
You
pour because it's
pour.
yours.
Yeah, before I pour it,
Listen to that.
Oh. Yes. Love it.
Oh man, money.
Thank you, sir.
I tell you what, for an everyday drinker, the Elijah Craig is just a phenomenal bottle, man.
Yeah.
Like it really is.
Yep.
Like Elijah Craig as a whole has done a really good job of creating something that is just every one of their bottles. I don't think I've ever had an Elijah Craig that I don't like.
Mm-mm.
All right, hold on. I'm supposed to do this, right?
Holy cow!
Hold on, wait a minute.
Yeah, you got to rinse that glass.
Gotta rinse the glass out real quick.
Color on that, y'all.
Thank you, sir.
Cheers. And as you're all looking at that, I love the packaging on this.
I know.
I mean,
just
you
go ahead and
have
show
this
everybody. Do the
Yeah,
thing.
like
huge.
Show why you're the bourbon commander.
Yeah, right.
Let's go.
Put
Give
it
it
up
to
on-
him.
show-
Give him the
show
whole
camera.
package.
So you
Show
have
the
this
camera.
amazing Kerwood box that's felt lined. Even comes with its own little book telling
It
the
looks like a
story
passport.
of Mr. Sam. Yep, looks like a passport book. You have a nice tasting card that's in there that goes along with it. And everything is well proportioned. You know, you have this box set up to hold the book, to hold the bottle. You have these nice metal clasps on it.
Wow.
Goes down tightly.
Mhm.
I mean, and that thing, I'm not sure if you felt that thing.
Yeah, I picked it
But
up.
there's some
It's
girls
way
and
to
some
it.
heft to it.
Yeah.
So the presentation
It's
in
everything.
itself is absolutely a step.
Yeah, that's beautiful. And,
And
there's a badge on the front of that box too, isn't there?
that says Mr. Sam.
Yeah.
Nice gold badge.
Nice.
The bottle itself is very minimalist, just clean. Has the Mr. Sam name. You have the alcohol by volume there, the proof along the label, and that wooden top matches the wood on the box.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful presentation all the way around, man. Like, and again, you expect that for a bottle at this price point, right?
Right.
So MSRP, again, you can't find it there, but at $350, you want the presentation, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's definitely well worth it. So here's the thing. We should say what we want to say about this before we let Corey talk about it. Because when Corey talks about it,
There's gonna be a lot of adjectives.
there's going to be a whole lot of distinguishing factors that we cannot bring to you. So me and Jason are going to give our thoughts on it, and then
all right.
let Corey rock.
So on the card is a lot of like tasting notes, and the mid palate was what sounded very interesting to me, and I smell that mid palate, and so I am super excited to try this.
First thing off the bat, it does not drink at 122 proof.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is one of the smoothest things that I've had, in a very long time.
Oh my god, that's so good!
That's an understatement.
And there's the mid palate. It's just all of these varying sweet notes between fruit sweet, sugary sweet, candied sweet. Oh wow!
Jason's trying to be
And it
very
just-
descriptive today. Like,
And it just no more than I think I would be normally, because I'm not going to get anywhere near to
that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm going to tell you, like, very
Pour it in
good.
the back
Does
end.
not drink 122. It does
That's
have
it.
a very, very good sweetness, right? But also very viscous, right? Very full mouthfeel. Pause. But overall, just a phenomenal pour, man. Like you said, you get a lot of different mixtures in there that, for me personally, I just can't describe them. So
and it just lingers.
it lingers is
Like-
an understatement. Like, it's just there. It's just so refreshing. That refreshing, right? And that's crazy to use a word like refreshing with a bourbon, right? But wow,
What I think I like, and I enjoy everything you just described, but I'll add that it has this sweetness without being fruity, too overly fruity or floral.
right?
And so you really get to concentrate on all the different kinds of sweetnesses out there. I'm talking like caramel, marshmallow, toasted marshmallow, candied nuts, and you think about all the things that are sweet, that you would eat, and it's got all those notes, and it's all over the place on the sweetness, and I think that's got a full gamut of sweetness. But let's see what
What the
Bourbon Commander's got to say, right?
Let's go. What you got, big bro?
Well, I echo on what you all say. That sweetness is absolutely astounding. I would add another sweet, that sweet oakiness that you get, and I think you all
Like
have
sap.
shared a pour with me that this echoes the Eagle Rare 17.
Absolutely.
Oh,
Absolutely.
so good.
That you do have a lot of those fruity, full notes that you get out of a William LaRue Weller. On that, you get, and you get this maple.
Yeah, it's like sap.
Yeah,
you know,
it is.
like-
And the first thing that draws you in is the nose. I mean, first visually you're looking at it as nice and viscous, that amazing dark color. Then you bring it up to your nose, and it's like opening a cigar box.
Right?
So you get that, and the fact that you're pairing it with a cigar really, primes your palate for both, and you know that they're going to go well.
An aged one, nonetheless.
Yes, and the simple fact of the matter is that when you taste it and it hits different parts of the palate, as you chew it around, you get different notes on it. I think Jason, you were talking about the different types of sweet, the candy, the fruit, the caramel, maple. As it goes around your palate, and then the finishes with that sweetness, the leather, the tobacco. The age comes through them.
Yeah.
I mean, for me, I love this because this is everything that you would want on a desert island if you could only have one bottle.
This is
I agree.
Right.
I do agree with that one.
this is what you want in the cash, right?
Yeah, you don't want the one note wonder. You want something that you can taste something different
Every time.
Right.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, man.
I mean, it's so refreshing, right? Like,
It is so,
really is.
man.
It's a bottle that, if you can find it and you can afford it, you should buy it, right? And I know we say that about a lot of the bottles that we drink, but like this one is really just something that's spectacular, right? Sazerac really did a great job on this one, and it's phenomenal.
I mean, it's just luxurious.
Yeah.
Like,
Absolutely.
you know,
So, what other thoughts we got on the cigar?
cigar, man. I mean, this thing, it's already. I feel like every third puff or so, I'm getting a slightly different flavor. Like I said, I feel like personally that this thing never stops transitioning.
Right.
Like a lot of times we and other cigar smokers do. They talk about thirds, right? They talk about that first third. Maybe the foot. But this is just one of those unique cigars. I don't know that I've ever had a cigar that just transitions continually.
Right.
Like, it's not drastic, but it's enough to tell.
Right.
But I mean, this is a full flavored cigar. Like, I mean, it's just nothing but flavor. I don't know that I would say that this is full body,
No, I don't get full body, right?
which I'm okay with.
No.
Because
It makes it up in flavor.
I do, don't it?
It makes it up in flavor, right? So
Like, and
that's one of the
the
beauties. And I mean, just looking at the cigar, that the ash is compacted, nice and
ash
tight.
is
It's got
great.
a great burn. Really as close to even as you can get, right?
Mm-hmm.
The cigar construction is great, and smoke production absolutely phenomenal, right?
Yep.
Like,
as y'all are saying that, I'm just thinking, it's amazing. When I lit this cigar, I mean, from the foot,
yeah,
Immediately.
you got this chocolate note.
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
hit.
Well, the aroma on the pre-light, like,
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you guys
Cold
noticed
draw.
when I was just smelling the outside of the cigar. I'm just sitting here smelling the cigar. I was like,
Yeah.
oh my god, this is so good.
It's like, and the great part is I haven't had one in a little while.
Me too.
Right? So,
No, me too.
I know Corey, you might have had. I think you had one a couple weeks ago, right, when you were out traveling.
Yes.
You shot us a photo.
Yeah, he did.
And you said the environment was calling for a specific cigar. So,
Oh, yeah.
But yeah, man. So tell us about that.
Yeah, let's
right?
get it.
So
Let's get into that.
let's get into that, right? So you work for Edward Jones. And just recently, you came off of a really big trip, right?
Yeah, yeah,
and you had to qualify for that trip, right?
yeah.
So tell us, like, you in order to qualify, what does that look like, man?
So when it comes down to, it's really measured a lot on, what you do to service people.
What's up, humans?
And are you? And part of that servicing people is, um, what are we, bringing in new clients at a certain level. So what we have, what happens is they're like, well, you were exceptional at doing that, so you're awarded with a truck. Um, the one that I picked was to a island in the Mediterranean called Malta.
Okay.
It's gonna smile. I don't think he can smile.
Malta.
Malta.
Yeah, definitely one of those idyllic islands where you have this water that is.
We didn't close it off on purpose. Come on in, man. Like,
Come on
we're
in.
podcasting, and we are on location
What's up, humans?
at OCL.
You're
So
fine.
you are in, man.
In the
Come on
middle
in.
of your thing.
Welcome in, sir.
Welcome.
Sorry about that, Corey. Go ahead. Malta.
History, 8,000 years of military and religious history.
Okay.
Wow.
On that,
That's incredible.
it is, you can be at a spot where you're on a farm, with fresh solids, be out at a fishing village, cliff diving, just whatever you want. It's about a 90-minute ferry ride from Sicily. You take another hour and a half, 2 hours the other way, you're in northern Africa.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
it's very central. And while in this idyllic paradise, what do? You have good drinks and you smoke good cigars.
Right,
Because
of
hey, when
course.
you're around good people or you're in a good place, it's that much sweeter, right?
Right. So anything interesting that you did in Malta that, and I know everything you do in Malta is probably very different than what it would be like here in the United States, but pick out one of the top things that you did there and describe for us, like, what's the difference of, a vacation in Malta versus a vacation in Destin.
Okay. So I'll talk about I'll talk about 2 or 3 highlights.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, so first and foremost, there is a spot in Malta called Mdina, and it is basically a castle.
Okay.
Most people have seen this if you're a fan of a Game of Thrones.
Okay.
The entrance to Mdina was basically the entrance to their main city
Okay.
in Game of Thrones. And what you have here is, surrounded by a dry moat. You go in there, and there are still people that live there in basically this castle, and it has has French influence, Italian. You have some Arabic influence, some Spanish influence. It was it was strategically phenomenal place for the military. So there have been a lot of cultures that have come in with it, and you see all this architecture that's amazing. You're there. You're like, man, this castle is 4 times older than America.
So the castle itself is older than the whole country. Yeah, like so.
Yes.
That's something.
And there are still people just enjoying living there. And you're there. You're overlooking the island, and there's farmland, there's the city, and there's the sea.
Okay.
Amazing place to go. I've recommended people go there. Go to Mdina, check it out. Another spot that was phenomenal that I love was we took a catamaran over to there are 3 big islands. There's Malta, Gozo, and Kokomo. Basically, you go over you go over to this spot called the Blue Lagoon. I mean, and the water goes from navy blue to the color of my shirt.
Okay.
But just different,
Wow.
just clear, and you can see down 30, 40 feet of just this clear
Wow.
water. People, you can walk off the beach into that water,
You can cliff dive
Mm-hmm.
if you want. There is just this idyllic, just place that you look at and say, man, this is, if there's anything that screams, this is the Mediterranean. It's an amazing spot.
Got it.
Food wise, from all those cultures, you get this amazing mix of food. So, of course, things are fresh out the sea.
Mm-hmm.
We were eating at, Michelin star restaurants for very inexpensive prices.
Right.
I
So
mean,
for the people that don't know, tell everyone what that means. A Michelin restaurant, like what is that?
so a Michelin star restaurant is, going to be under this worldwide rating system of what's considered some of the best all around restaurants in the world.
Okay.
So if you are at a Michelin star restaurant, it doesn't matter what country you're in,
You're at a phenomenal restaurant.
you know you are at one of the best out
Gotcha. I got you.
And you know what the history of that is, right?
No, give it to us, man.
So, it's exactly what it sounds like. Michelin's, 5-star restaurant
Mhm.
is the tire company.
Yeah.
Okay. Michelin, back when cars were becoming a little more prevalent, they were one of the first tire companies out there. And in order to get people to buy cars and buy tires, they came up with this guide of essentially where to eat. And so
Okay.
they would go around ranking restaurants and, various, hotels and all that sorts of stuff. And, everything fell off at the restaurants, and they're doing it today. And so it's the tire company going out there and, ranking these, not ranking them, but rating the restaurants.
Right.
And it was originally started to sell tires.
It's pretty impressive.
So, but any more highlights you'd like to share with us?
there. So ideally, what we look at is the big thing also is going to be the history. Like I said, you can go to a cemetery and you're looking at 8,000 years of history. There is a church we went into, St. John's Cathedral, founded by the St. John's Knights, who were basically the triage. They help people on the battlefield. And the Saint, it's a history of not only helping people medically, but the first organized fire department was actually started on Malta.
Okay.
Really?
So if you look at the background of any fire department, that 8-pointed cross is
Yeah.
actually the Maltese flag.
Really? Interesting.
And so you're able to
All right.
really just
I mean,
enjoy it.
I would have never known.
We getting some history lessons
Dude,
here, aren't we?
I love it. I love it. But again, this is a lot of what comes with, right? Smoking cigars and drinking bourbon with friends and learning about different things, right? Cultures that we may not have experienced, but Corey has. And so we get to learn a little bit through him and,
Love it.
live a little bit through him as well, right? So hopefully we'll get to take some of those trips and figure some of those things out as well. But I did want to jump back over to cigars and bourbon for a second, see if you guys had any new thoughts on now after we've had the Mr. Sam, in the glass for a little while.
I'm gonna tell you, this is a hell of a pairing.
Like, it's phenomenal, right?
Like the cigar just coats the mouth. It's creamy, and then the sweetness you get from this
Mhm.
is just, man, the counterpoints on it are incredible.
And like after I sat with this for a while, like it started to open up all over again, on the palate. Like, just my goodness, it's just something completely different at this point. What about you, Bourbon Commander? What else? Anything new? Anything that jumps out now that you've reopened it? Because I don't know, when was the last time you visited the Mr. Sam's?
Wow. I've not visited. I last visited Mr. Sam. I had a pour at Christmas time.
Wow.
And it is one of those that I bring out at special occasions.
Okay.
Yep, no. You're wrong. I did have a pour on our anniversary. I'm sorry.
Okay. Well,
Still
I mean, that's a
special
special
occasion,
occasion,
right?
right?
So
That's an
Man.
interesting thing too, right? Like your anniversary and birthday, right? So tell us about that. Or it's your, yes, right? your anniversary and your birthday fall on the same day.
Absolutely.
Cheater.
Yeah, you're like a smart man. Like you can never forget your anniversary because it's on your birthday. So
Never forget my
was that
anniversary.
on purpose?
It was on purpose. You know, my wife and I were planning our wedding, and we were going, and I called her on my birthday, and she said, "Hey, it's your birthday. What do you want to do?" I said, "Let's go get married."
Jeez.
She's like, "Are you serious?" Yep. So she left work, and we went to the courthouse and eloped.
Okay.
Rather
Okay.
than have the wedding. I loved her enough that I just could not resist. I had to go ahead
I completely
and
understand.
lock it up before she realized that she was too good.
Now listen, I definitely love your wife. She is a phenomenal person to be around, and we're gonna have to get her on the podcast as well because she enjoys cigars and bourbon just as much as we do.
Definitely.
She, I would say, is probably I would say a gin connoisseur, right? Like she is definitely a gin and mixed drink connoisseur, right?
I mean, I just had a new gin that she brought in a couple weeks ago that was some like rose finish, some kind of rose thing, and oh man,
it was absolutely.
You can only get it from the distillery.
So yes,
like,
the Chemist Gin.
Yeah.
That
they rose finish.
Finished it in a barrel with rose petals from the Biltmore estate.
Wow.
I mean,
They put it out once a year, and we just happened to be in town in Asheville, North Carolina, the week that they put it out.
Right.
One of the best gins I've ever had.
Dude, listen. It was very good, and I'm not a gin drinker, so and she actually has reintroduced me to gin, right? Like, I guess when I grew up and where I grew up, the gin that we had was not good, right? Like,
it wasn't a sipper, right?
It
was a mixer.
Definitely was not a sipper. I don't even know if it was a mixer. We were just drinking that stuff to get tore up from the floor up, if you know what I mean, right?
Like liquid acorn.
Yeah, man, it was bad. Like pine needles in a bottle. Like,
that's what it was.
Just terrible, right? It was not good at all. And I mean, when I think about it, we're talking like beef eaters.
Yep.
Tangerine?
Liquid pine cones.
Yeah, man,
Acorn.
just a lot of bad stuff, bro. That was not good at all.
But there are some really good sipping gins out there.
Absolutely. So it's nice to find some new ones that taste good. But what else, man? What else do we got as far as the cigar goes? It looks like I think both of you are moving into your second thirds, right? And again, we said this is a 2 to 2.5 hour stick, so we're not going to do a 2.5 hour episode.
We are not, but I think we should do a two-parter.
Yeah, absolutely.
We can do a two-parter, and we can continue on this bourbon journey and the cigar journey, and it's just an incredible cigar.
Listen,
I don't think I've had this cigar in 6 months. I've been just holding them back, and I've got a ton of them. I don't really have a good reason to hold back on them. But,
right.
They're just so good that I don't want to run out before they come out again. And we don't know that they're going to come out again in 3 years.
Yeah.
I mean, I think so. They came out in January, but they didn't come out 3 years ago, right? Didn't it? Wasn't it like 5 or 6 years the previous time, or has it been every 3 years?
The one before that, I think, was Amazon based in
Okay.
3 years.
Gotcha.
Okay.
So
And these have an interesting fermentation process or whatever handling process, right? They like what do? They like twist them into these long like cords, and they put them in these like tubes or pipes or something, I think, and that's how they put them on the canoe. And
I mean, I have no clue. Like
isn't that what it is? Like, see, now I'm gonna have to look it up again.
Now we will have to look that up. I'm agreeing, going like, yes, I'm learning. But not quite.
So I'm saying that because, and I'm not entirely sure if everything I just said was accurate, but the way they did the band on here is a symbol of that process that they use to transport the cigar.
Hey man, you're teaching me something right now because I have no idea whatsoever. Like that's grand. Like that's pretty specific.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I mean, just everything about how they make this the tobacco on this is incredible. Get it to who made General Cigar is the one who owns CAO. So it's incredible to me that when you think about everything they have to do to get the product to make the cigar, that it's not more than $14 or $15.
Right.
Like this could easily be way more than that.
Well, let's hope
I'm happy that it's not.
Right.
Yeah, I'm happy that it's not. I mean, because I think we agree, like, this is the best cigar for your buck.
Period.
Period.
Dollar
Hands
for
down. Dollar for dollar, the best cigar you will ever smoke.
Yeah.
Now, I know there's people out there that this is just not for them, and, not every cigar is for everyone, but man, I want to tell you, this thing's amazing.
People can be wrong.
I love it.
But for all intents and purposes, it is what you want, right? It is well constructed, great smoke production, nice creamy smoke.
Yeah.
It lets you know that you have something substantial
Yes.
in your hand that you're drawing.
And you can taste that age. I mean, you really can.
I mean, I think with both that we're doing today, as far as the bourbon and the cigar, you can taste the age on both, right? Like, I mean, the Mr. Sam's is just phenomenal, dude. Like, I'm feeling some type of way that I drank it so
I
fast.
know.
Unfortunately,
You say so fast, but I mean, it's been like 20 minutes. We let it sit in the glass, so that's
amazing.
much longer than we normally do.
What'd you say?
The bottle's not empty.
I mean, listen,
we know it's not, but
listen, don't tempt us, okay? Like that's not good. We've got plenty of other things to do on the table tonight.
We do.
And so are we going to try to get some footage this evening of Whiskey Wednesday?
I think we should.
Should we try to get some of the other people to come in and get a 30 seconds from them or whatever, and what they're smoking?
We'll get something, definitely.
But I don't want to extend too long, right? Like,
No.
I think we've got to
Let's do some final thoughts here.
get in some final thoughts, right?
Yeah.
So, Courtney, you the guest. Why don't you go first with your final thoughts, man, on the cigar and the bourbon?
So there are things that you both hate and love about both of these. Let's start with what you hate. When you taste something that is very well put together, there's a lot of thought, a lot of just brilliant minds that go into the making of each one. But they're not easily replaceable. I hate that they're not easily replaceable.
Right.
Yeah.
But the thing about enjoying something that is constructed in that way or that is blended in that way is that when you do things like this, when you share them with other people, and you have those experiences with other people, it really just makes them that much sweeter. You get to enjoy, I say all the time something I got from someone else. When you're sharing bourbon, when you're sharing a cigar with someone, it's not I'm sharing that product, it's that I'm sharing my time. We're spending that time together.
Right.
And when you share something that's that rare, you're also kind of saying, my time is very valuable, but I treasure you enough to spend it with you.
We greatly appreciate that.
Love that.
Definitely.
You're
Love that.
that valuable to me.
Oh. And listen, you're valuable to us because we definitely wanted to have you as the very first guest
Yes, we
on
did.
our podcast, right? We've been doing this for, I don't know how many episodes deep we are, but we were adamant that you had to be our first guest, right? So we greatly appreciate you coming on and sharing some of the knowledge that you have. And like he said, I think we're going to do a part 2, right?
Yeah.
We're
We're going to wrap this up.
And
we're
get you
gonna,
back on for sure.
Yeah, because we want to share some thoughts on the other bourbons we have on the table and continue to share thoughts on the cigar and, get some more stories from our first guest over here.
Absolutely. My final thoughts, listen, this is a phenomenal cigar, man. Like, it's just something that you can't go wrong with. When you can find a cigar that we say, like, this cigar very much so smokes above its price point, right? I'm not going to say what I think the price could be on this. It might do something really, really stupid and, like, raise the price or something else. And listen, the Mr. Sam's, I can't say enough about it. I am so grateful that he brought this bottle in to share with us. Like I said, we did share a pour of the other batch, and God, this is just so good, man. Like, the sweetness, like, I want to say, like, I almost feel like I got a little caramel or something with a mint twist to it when I finished that last little sip there. But it was just great, man. Honestly, it was phenomenal. What about you, Jason?
So my final thoughts: when you're sharing something of this caliber with friends, it really shows the passion that we have both for cigars and bourbon and for each other.
Mhm.
Right? right? So it's a hell of a camaraderie that we have, hell of a friendship, and just being able to share this with you guys is incredible. And I hope that you could see our passion, as we were talking about things. So,
Absolutely.
but that's it. Let's wrap up part 1.
All right. Well, thank you guys for joining us on another episode of High Proof Ashes.
Yes, sir.
To my right, I have Mr. Corey Manning, the Bourbon Commander. I am Durant, no cool nickname, but we'll get there eventually. And my co-host.
I am Jason JV Smoke, and we'll see you on part 2.